one of those QRC or, code things, you could go to that, and then it has all the overheads.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's probably,
Mr. Mayor, we are live.
we are, okay, I'll try to behave. We're apparently live, Lindsay, so,
Right now?
yep. Just sent you the, yeah, I really think they have trouble, so it'd probably be easier than anything else is walking.
Is that one here? Then that one's there.
No, not terribly near.
No?
It's,
What's it near you?
it's near the Cinema Theater, right across Candy Corner from the German restaurant.
Isn't
Or
that,
the,
isn't this one the circular one?
The Radisson?
I don't think it is it? Maybe
there-
I
are
made
there
it
two
on a different,
Radissons?
maybe I didn't realize.
It says
Did I do the Radisson?
Yeah. it says
Oh, I
same.
thought I was doing the Sheridan.
No, it says it's more.
Okay, well,
Do you want the rest?
Radisson, if it's the same low price, so we can check it out. Yep. Oh. Oh, I can't remember, somehow, when I was over at the library, Lipo thing, there were like three areas that I don't understand. You could maybe enlighten. Why are those separate parcels there? Because isn't that what, or was that from before when we bought those tax forfeit or something?
Well, so this is split because Keith Johnson did that, so the church got the one on the right, Keith owned the one on the left, but we now own that one on the left. So it was split. Keith split it.
And
into-
one of them goes to the church.
One is the church, one is ours. So I don't know when this plat book was done.
And this, I thought was the area you were talking about, the railroad, might be about, do you see,
The railroad gave up this area right here.
oh, in there?
Yep. They gave that to the county, they sold it to them, I don't know what they paid
Oh,
for it.
yeah, it was just
Yeah,
surveys.
the county wanted the right of way, so right across from the pickleball courts, this stuff.
Okay,
Yep.
yeah, because I was thinking that this area, one time we looked at for like the antenna, the cell tower antenna,
That was before my time, so maybe.
but, no, yeah,
That's HRA right there.
yeah, and, but I thought it was interesting, it was listed.
Yeah, the village.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I don't know whether those automatically transfer or what.
I don't know. How, did you know how recent that plat book was?
22 or 23.
Okay.
It wasn't the newest, and it was actually,
Lucas can explain it. But
oh.
Okay. He's doing a CMAR project in Silver Bay, and they're doing a very good job of it, I told him. You know?
He gave me the name of a fishing guide on my first day.
Okay.
Tried to get my nephew from Chicago up on it, but I figure I'm not gonna try to teach him.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
And he said this guy, the governor goes with him. And he
Oh, wow.
said
He's the real deal.
He's the real deal.
Yeah.
So we're live, that means we're okay to go at any time, all right? And is anybody gonna be online?
Nobody's online today.
Okay. No engineer?
Nope,
You're center stage then?
he has a big meeting in Hibbing today, and since we rescheduled it, he gets double booked now, so.
And Bob's gonna give the library report. Oh. Oh,
It's of the hour.
yeah, my web contact says it's 5 o'clock, so I'll, call our special agenda planning session, to order, and, now 5:01 or something, and we're meeting in the council chambers at the, City Hall in Aurora. And, let's see, I guess, again, I'd like, if we can, why don't we do a preview on the agenda of things at first, before getting into a report with a screw up any plans you have, or?
No, I think the only thing we have is the librarian update. So if Bob
You
wants
want
to
to do that
back-
first? Okay,
Doesn't matter.
well,
Well, the first item, the library has been doing great. Rebecca is out on medical leave, so they're running with one less person, but all resources are still available to the public, which is partly why Jen couldn't make this meeting. They're covering. And the annual report for the library has been completed and submitted. Yesterday, they hosted 18 preschool students from Wasabi East. It was fun yet chaotic. They're hoping to have them visit monthly. Why, I don't know. And also, the spring book sale is coming up this week. It'll be running Friday the 11th and Saturday the 12th during open hours, which are 10 a.m. to 5. The sale is run by the Aurora Friends of the Library, and the donations from the sales help the library add more books and art for their patrons. And I'll just add to that, if someone's looking for some volunteer time, they're going to be setting up Thursday at 2 for that book sale. And then the tear down will be sometime Saturday, but I'm sure you could find out. They have the rendering for the community center updates. It's on display in the library if anybody wants to see what that's going to look like. It's a beautiful, looks like a beautiful upgrade. That's a good, nice rendering. They'll be closed for Easter, Friday the 18th and Saturday the 19th. And finally, they have a legacy program coming up on May 6th. It's called Going to Bartolina. Will be presented by Charles McGuire, and that's at 2 p.m. on May 6th.
where's Bartolina? I'm curious.
I don't know, I saw the thing, it's songs and stories of shipping on the Great Lakes.
Oh,
So, must be one of the ports, is my guess, or the ships.
okay.
And that is the library.
Oh, that's the library report. Okay, thank you, Bob. So, yeah, now, just going back to the agenda. Yep. Let's see, on old business, that loan program, what are we gonna do with that?
So we have not met with Ely, and until we do, I would just recommend that we don't address that right now. It can just fall off of there, and then if when we're ready, we'll bring it back.
Okay. And MediaCom, that's all ready to go, that's.
Yep, so we sent it to MediaCom, and one thing that they wanted to clarify in it was that the PEG fee would be, since it's new, it would start when the contract is signed, not the calendar year, January 1. Which in fairness to them, we don't have that agreement. It's hard to, they can't go back and fill it. So, we were agreeable to that. So we would just approve it now, approve the resolution as is with that amendment. They also changed a couple of their contacts in there, so it was very minor, but that was the one main thing. And then following up with that, Zito would be the one next that we would send them. It's essentially the exact same one with the amendments that MediaCom made. We would send them up to.
Just a little technical detail of that, we found out that Zito isn't really Zito. It's Pinpoint Media is the company, and then they're doing business under Zito, but they hadn't properly registered the business in Minnesota. So little by little, I think we're gonna tighten up their act by trying to franchise it. It's kind of interesting. Let's see, community center parcel split, that's probably not big issue there.
What is that?
So because we received state appropriations for it, it's just exactly like the water treatment plant, we received state appropriations for that. When the state gives you money, they wanna know that their investment is protected. So you have to only put that money onto the parcel that it's allowed for. Well, currently, I don't know why this is, but the city hall, or I'm sorry, the community center and the fire hall are all one parcel. So that money could technically go into the fire hall right now, it could go into the community center, and we can't have that. So we can't encumber any of those funds until we split it. So we had a surveyor go out, measure it, we've got the language, we've sent it to our attorney is ready, so you guys now we need to rubber stamp that approval, then we can register it with the county, and then we would be able to start receiving those funds.
Do other outside funding, do they put liens on that parcel at all, or not to secure?
By contract, we have to sign that everything that we're doing, the contract that we sign says that it's good for 20 years, and all we're spending the money on is capital and investment things, so we're not spending it on little things like dishes, panties, or something like that. It's gotta go into the infrastructure components of it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Other questions?
All right, let's see what we got. Canody Drive, utility installation.
So we already received, all of the bids for those, they came in around the engineer's estimate, so we were happy, we received multiple bids. We did not award it yet though, because we were waiting, there's CDBG funds tied to that, we got about 350 CDBG grants, and part of their process is they have to do an environmental review and a SHPO, which is architectural, things like that. So they now have signed off on it, they've said we're good to go, so we can award it now, and they cannot start till after May, so we won't give them a notice to proceed until then, but we do need you to approve that and award that, so we can start the process moving with the contracts and stuff like that.
So, how extensive and what's the layout of the utility? Are they the main lines rather than the
So,
lot feeders?
and this is actually, I'm glad you're bringing this up, Doug, because we never really talked about this.
Yeah.
When we applied for CDBG funding, there was a significant ask this year. There was, like, I want to say 4 to 6 million, somewhere, the more that's ever been requested.
From varieties.
From varieties, from everybody, yeah. So there's not a lot of people that received funding, and some people didn't get what they had asked for. Well, because our project scored so well, there's 3 buckets they look for. One is, does your project bring in industry? Does this help support industry or commercial? 2 is, does it help keep assessments down, or you're not assessing and increase infrastructure to existing residents, which are Canadian Drive and Erie Street there are. And then does it help provide new housing growth, new housing stock in your community? This one is, it's providing stubs for 11 lots to the south of there. So as we presented our case to them, we rattled off all 3 of those buckets. It also is the sewer line that goes up to the industrial parks. The industrial park can't go online until this is in there. We won't be assessing on this project because it's a $300,000. We asked for $350,000 and we got $300,000. A lot of people need to get half of that, half of what they're asking. So we did very well on that. So we got $300,000 CDBG grant, and they thought it was a very worthwhile project. Scored the highest out of all of them. So we won't assess because the 14 houses that are on there, if we would have done the math at the $8,000, it would have been around $80,000. Then you also have to pay the engineer to do the fees and the studies and things. You're probably only grossing 50, 60.
So there will be stubs though for what are envisioned to be the future lot layout.
So this thing will do all 3. It'll take care of sewer and water for the industrial park. It'll loop that in. It'll take care of the existing residents with new sewer, new water. It's gonna loop the water in there, so that'll be better. And it will have 11 stubs to the south for new housing in there. So we'll have all those stubs sitting in there and ready to, so
Just bring them up to the lot line.
we'll bring them up to the lot line right away. Yep, and they'll be sitting there for development, and then we'll have to, the next project then is we'll have to try and get the road in.
I hesitate to bring this up again, but are we going to either put in conduit or actual fiber optic in that area?
We did meet with all of the, we've had a meeting with all of the utility people, like Zito, Mediacom, Minnesota Power, and Frontier. We had a big utility kickoff with this, because some people like Minnesota Power have to hold poles and move things out of the way. Minnesota Energy Resources is going to move the gas from the back into Erie Street in the front of the yards, and actually you'll probably see that in the next couple of weeks. They try to get out of the way of the utilities if they can, so in this instance, they can move to the other side, to the street side, and then let the utilities run in the back, so then they don't ever have to worry
And
about
they're
that.
better off doing that before the Highway 100 improvements, or?
Well, they're gonna run it north-south on Erie Street.
Oh, I see, okay.
Yep. Canudi doesn't have any gas right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they won't go in there until there's housing that is actually being built. They wanna wait till they get X amount of houses in there before they do that. But we do have, fiber optic, conduit called out to be buried in the right of way in there. There's nobody that's gonna use it, but we'll put it.
So they should pull through the lines, right?
Yeah.
That's almost as good as installation, right? So,
So are we gonna notify the people on Erie that they dig behind their house and in front of their house?
We'll have, well,
We already
it's the gas company's deal when they do theirs.
I already got something on the gas thing. I'm not on Erie, but.
Yeah.
But as far as digging behind it for water and sewer.
So whenever we start that, we'll have a neighborhood meeting, and we'll probably do it on site, and we'll send them all, letters, and we'll do it out on site with the contractor. We haven't awarded the contractor yet, so we'll do a pre-construction meeting with the contractor, get their date, their schedule, all that timeline lined up. Then we'll send out notifications to the people. We'll meet on site with the contractor, so they know who it is. The engineer, who's gonna be on site inspecting will be there, so they know who the contact is for all their questions and things like that. And we'll meet with them in person on site. With a smaller group like that, it's probably better to do it on site than like the community center or something. It's big, so. Yeah. So that's what we'll do. And we'll also do that when we start kicking off the street project. We'll have information to get. That one will probably do it.
say a wild thought the other day, as we were making arrangements for the Minnesota City annual conference, it has come up at, I think at least the last two annual conferences, how communities are taking larger areas and going into pollinator plants and wildflowers. And I'm wondering whether the authorities from the school might be enlisted to some of those trees growing back in that whole easement area or otherwise having to continue. I wonder if there'd be funding to do something like that in that utility corridor that I know at least some neighbors on Erie are concerned about it, turning a nice shore into a potentially beautiful area. So I'm just throwing it out as an idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. So I'm sure Rachel and her program are not lacking for things to do, but they might be a resourceful group to do some plantings. I have no idea what it takes to plant in a huge pollinator field, but yeah. Let's see, okay, so the proclamations, we've got a couple of those, and the spring cleanup, we're gonna actually debate or discuss.
Yeah, we're looking at the week of June 2nd through the 6th. That's the first full week in June.
Yeah, that came up on that tour bus yesterday on the lobby. I got some people say everything but the kitchen sink, you know, they're literally, the kitchen sink goes out on the curb, you know. And, everybody's having trouble controlling the expectations of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know. We'll put something in the shopper, right?
Yeah, we've got a pretty good program, and we've been doing it long enough that I think people here in town kind of have a handle on it, and they're expecting it, and they know. Every once in a while you get a random, you know, something or other out there, but for the most part, I think we've been doing it long enough that people are pretty educated.
Yeah, I sympathize with the cleanup crews and, you know, some of that stuff, so. What else? Let's see. HRA resignation.
Tim Sewell proclamation.
Oh, volunteer, yeah.
Yep, and the volunteer proclamations, there's a couple of those.
Yeah, and the Times had a real good volunteer month article there that they'd come across. The resignation, the new member, okay, accept planning and zoning membership. Well, that's you, right? Aren't you going on the planning and zoning? Yeah, okay. Okay, seasonal maintenance.
Which after that one's the job description. Yeah, seasonal maintenance worker.
Yeah.
We removed the word public works director, as there is no such thing anymore according to our chart currently, as well as the seasonal maintenance lead worker didn't need to be directed in there, so those were just updated with the appropriate terms going forward.
You know, well, public works working supervisor.
Are we gonna hire a lead this year?
I don't think so. I think we're thinking of hiring, 6. We've got a lot of good applications. We're thinking of hiring 6, and then, working 4 days a week, but have like 3 of them start on Monday, and then you'll have the bulk of them working Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then 3 of them work Friday. So you've got coverage for 5. And then you'll have flexibility to move around if you need to run for 5 days, or like Fourth of July week, for example, we probably won't all kinds of that. So we'd have flexibility.
So are they gonna work 10-hour shifts or 8-hour shifts?
Eights, yeah,
2 hours?
yeah, 32 hours a week.
And the application deadline was yesterday, or it's
It's
closed?
the 10th,
Yeah, so,
so we got till Thursday.
oh, that's right.
Yep.
Okay. Any more questions on that? Let's see. Request for proposal, city realtor, yeah, you wanna?
Yep, so-
Are we gonna
So,
authorize that? or-
something, it's completely for you guys to consider, I just brought it up, and I don't lean one way or the other, I just think it might be a good idea for us to call for an RFP, and, this way, everybody, because there's so many realtors that are in the area, you can't just pick one. You gotta open it up for everyone, and there's League of Minnesota Cities, RFPs that are available that we can look at, but, for example, we just demoed a house in the southwest part of town, we wanna put that up on the market, or when we buy these blighted houses, a lot of times our attorney's doing it, and it takes him a little bit longer because of staffing, and his plate load is so high. Maybe we could have closing costs in there, and everybody compete against each other, and have a low, nice cost where, hey, we're gonna list this, and this is what we sell for, and have a commission set up for a couple-year period. So all the blighted structures we could purchase through them, if it was cheaper than our attorney, all the places that we wanna list and sell, like our industrial park, we gotta start listing a lot or two in the industrial park, you know, so.
So it's kinda like having a city engineer, kind of somebody in the stable that, we turn to.
You would just have somebody there to, and you'd have a set fee too, you would know exactly what you're gonna pay or what it's gonna cost. It's something, we can keep using our attorney if you want to, but we do have some things to sell. I know that, I don't want city staff and myself to have to sell the parcel that we got, that's one that we should turn it around here pretty quick this summer, so. Just an idea that other cities that do, so. Up to you guys.
Any thoughts on that?
Well, we'd have to have a set fee, because if we're gonna sell lots for $1, you know, like that, I don't know, we talked about selling that lot for $1. There wouldn't be anything in it for the realtor.
Oh, like a base fee
Yeah.
or something, yeah.
Yep, that's what we would ask for, is what they would need, what their
Okay.
fees would need to be, what their closing costs would be.
You're looking at somebody that is both commercial and residential
Yeah,
realtor.
yeah, because we don't list the industrial park too for lease or rent, you know.
And a related issue that came up at the lobby day yesterday with so many communities are running into this, tax forfeit parcel, the landlord, county, is being so negligent in maintaining it. It's like that one that's up by the school on the southeast corner. It's getting to be a common problem, and I think they're turning to the legislators to try and find some path forward to get some better movement on it, but I suppose we should at least talk to the county commissioners and tell them that this isn't working right. How many parcels like that do you think there are?
Oh, countywide, there's,
No, I mean, I'm thinking inside the city.
in the city, there's a handful. There's one trailer home lot right now that we'd love to purchase, and we've got money budgeted for it, but they've got it listed at $12,000, and the trailer is a complete demo. It's uninhabitable. So what they need to do is have their assessors go, and this is, so how the county does it now, I'll back it up, even before the lawsuit, the city had first dibs at anything that we could use for public or recreational or to clean up like this. The city had first shot at it, so we would buy these, clean them up, and then you list them and read green space, whatever you do with them. Well, now the lawsuit came through and they changed it to where now the city has to buy them through auction. So now we have to purchase them just like everybody else in the public at the same level. But the problem is the assessors go through and they assess the buildings and what they think the buildings are assessed at, and they're off, like on these complete uninhabitable pieces, and no one's gonna buy them. So they just sit, the county doesn't care, they just sit there over the counter. Now you can buy them over the counter, because it already went through the auction. So we could go there, we could pay the 12.2 plus whatever the costs are, and probably for $14,000 we'd have it. But then we're gonna turn around and spend $8,000 to demolish the thing. So why are we gonna waste $6,000? If it was just the value of the land, we could do that, you know? So it's really changed the game right now, so that's what Doug is saying.
So the first line of defense then would be to get the assessors back in.
Yeah.
And walk with them and say, come on, be realistic on this.
Correct. After it goes on the counter, over the counter, what they should do is have a policy where, okay, these are the ones sitting over the counter. we need to get our assessors back open to look at these things, what do we do to get the values? So,
Now, those could be potentially good housing sites, right? You know,
the,
well-established neighborhoods.
the notorious one is the one on the corner here by the Lucky Seven in the school, everybody knows that one.
Yeah.
And we actually reached out to the county and said, hey, can we purchase this from you? We will demo it, we'll take care of it. And they said, no, you guys can demo it and take care of it. Here's all the paperwork, but we're gonna own it. Well,
Why would you do it?
why would you do that?
Well, I don't know, to get
Great
rid of the
offer.
eyesore though, I mean, it would, you know, that's the liability there.
It's county's liability.
Maybe we ought to put up a big sign, you know, that just kind of says county-owned blighted
Yeah,
property.
Yeah,
We'd like to help.
so it's about, I mean, it's about $8,000. Well, actually, that's a house and a garage, that one's gonna be, I just looked at the one that we just did, and we all in were about $9,000 on that to tear just the mobile home down. So this one's gonna be a little,
And that, there was a study to see that the bones, it wasn't salvageable.
yeah, and the county, for whatever reason, they were, this is before my time, but they were doing it, they took it upon themselves to do it. They had to pull all the siding off because there was asbestos, they did all the environmental already, they pulled out all the appliances and all that stuff, and it was ready to demo, and then the lawsuit came. And then they just shut it down. It's just sitting there.
I would think they'd wanna get them developed because it's off their tax rolls right now.
Yeah.
Once it's demoed and sold and built on again, the county resumes tax.
Correct.
Would it be cheaper if, there was a house up there, if the fire department used it for training? And then we demoed it?
So, they're always looking for, it's a good question, they're always looking for houses like that. The problem is you have to go in and a lot of it's already been done, but you have to take all the shingles off the roof.
Oh.
Now you gotta take all the tar paper off the side, now you gotta take all the windows out. You
Okay.
gotta
I
get
think
it,
that's pretty close to that adjacent property.
It is.
Well, yeah, it's close to the
Real
garage.
close.
Yeah,
yeah, but,
that might be a real challenge for the.
The garage isn't.
Most of the tar paper's gone every time the wind blows it.
it's a pretty big process to get it to where it's gotta go, and it's basically just an empty shell of wood.
They can put a sign up and while the council gather around and send it to the commissioner and say, take pride in your property.
Yeah, we wanna buy these, we've got plenty, budget
Yeah.
money, it's just, we also have to have money left over then to actually, otherwise, we're gonna buy it, and it's just sit there and work.
Let's see. The city rental building inspector didn't have any real materials.
No, so that's something else for you to consider. Currently, what we did, the short-term and long-term rental program, if you remember, we gave them a 3-year window, and we're in year 2 right now. So year 3 is gonna come up here pretty soon. And essentially what we did is we said, hey, here's a list of building inspectors in the area you guys think. And then they would go out and you're working with the short-term realtor person to make sure that the inspection's being done and all this, and then they pay them, and are they paying them and all that. So it's a lot of work. So what would be nice is if we did a request for proposals again for a couple, 3 years. What's your fee? What's your fee gonna be? And then as part of our application process, people would apply, we would have an inspector, we would line up the inspection and say, all right, you're gonna go and do this, you're gonna inspect it, we would absorb the cost, but then in the short-term rental fee, that would be part of it. But that way, we're in control of that.
We brought up that issue on one of the East Range Joint Power Board meetings, to see if maybe the communities or some of them might all go together on some, because it's not a very full-time position,
No.
right? It's a as-needed spot thing, but, by the way, the other thing that they gave up the lobby, we had a lot of time on the road. By Wabi, Jeff said they might be interested in going together on a blight officer.
Okay.
Yeah, and so that might be another potential both attraction, because that's still open for us, right?
Yes, it is.
Yeah. So anyway, we just mentioned that.
Do they have an active blight officer in Waterk now, or are they looking also to have?
It didn't sound like it from what he was saying. From our previous blight officer, do we have like a stable of warning letters and identified properties? I mean, a lot of data on anything, or?
Sure, you had a computer program for all of it, so.
And that belongs to
We're paying
us.
for it.
Yeah, okay. Community center change order. Oh, that may be a good discussion to have on the record for the public.
Yeah, that isn't, it's nothing that we didn't see coming, right? Like, we knew that that building had some issues, and we went and walked it today. And I say we, the public works supervisor, myself, our architect, the project manager for Lency, and then his on-site foreman who walked it. They've now got everything off. It's very clear now, 100%, that the water was coming in from the outside in. It wasn't coming from inside or getting forced in, or it had nothing to do with HVAC. There's a couple areas where it's completely negligent, where the flashing went behind the stucco and the water just went right into it. They didn't take any care to get it out over the stucco. The problem that we have is in the bid costs where we've got a set cost for if they have to go in for 100 square feet of sheeting. There's a cost for that. There's a fixed cost for if they gotta go in and do studs and insulation, there's a cost for that. But what we found is on the corners, like on the main double doors on Main Street, the whole right column, it's gone, it's completely gone. So they're gonna have to take the door out. I mean, some places they're gonna take the windows out. The back double door that goes into the main, hallway there, or the main opening, the big double door in the back corner there. The truss that goes up, the cord is rotted out, it's completely gone, so they gotta figure out a way to stabilize it. We do have money for it, we knew this was coming, we just didn't know like there's gonna be these big ticket items. And not all of it has to be done that way. The other thing is anywhere there wasn't a penetration with stucco, it's fine, you know, like, so on the north side, there was no windows or anything, it's just fine. Everything up above the windows, underneath the eaves is just fine. Wherever there was vinyl insulation or vinyl siding, just fine.
So we're ahead of building a whole new building.
So we're ahead of building a whole new
Yeah.
building, yeah.
Not
So-
much.
So we do have money for it, we do have the costs in there, but what I'd be asking is that we put a process in place like we did with the water treatment plant and we did with the industrial park, where we have a change order process where the architect would sign off on it, project manager signs off on it, it would come to me, I would sign off on it. One representative from the mayor and council would sign off on it, and then that can get them moving, because they need to order up the sheeting, they need to order the insulation, the drywall, and then we can come back afterwards and vote on it officially. But just the process, just the process.
And insurance doesn't cover any of that?
That's a good point.
I don't know, it's a good question, I mean, we could ask,
Yeah, I don't know.
we could ask.
Maybe
Could go
any
on for
builder's
several years.
warranty.
No, I don't know about the builder, I'm just
Yeah.
wondering about our insurance.
Yeah, because it's outside rain penetration, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Put a note, talk to Jared about it.
And then that council meeting date in May, that's just adjusted to a Thursday meeting then?
So, there's a couple of things we have to talk about here. Number one is, we do need to look at closing City Hall for a week in May, because we do not have currently a third staff member, and all three of us are going to clerk's training. So this is a three-year program that we committed to, so I'm in year 3. Lindsay and Kimberly are both in year 2, and we had envisioned having office assistant to help us out through that, and she's no longer with us. So the 5th through the 9th, we will not have anybody on staff here to do that.
Could the prior one possibly make an exception to her?
She already has another job where she is working.
Oh, okay.
So, and she, in her defense, she put in a 2-week notice.
Oh,
And she
she
stayed
did.
here for like 2.5 months.
Yeah.
So she stayed as long as she could. So, she did a great job. But that's where we're at. So the 5th through the 9th, we're gonna have to look at closing that for all intents and purposes. There's no way we'll have somebody on by then that can have an office. So then, to answer your question, because we're not here on the 6th, we would like to move the council meeting to the 1st, May 1st, which is a Thursday. And we'll still do it in the evening at the normal times. And we could potentially schedule, we would schedule a meeting on the 2nd, Friday the 2nd, for receipts and disbursements, just in case we can't get them done on the 1st. We'd have that fall back to approve then. At like, maybe let's say 1 o'clock on Friday. We could just get
You gonna be around at that time, John? Or
No, I was gonna be gone through the 7th anyway, so I was gonna miss the 6th,
Yeah. Okay.
yeah.
So that's what we'll be looking for. I can check in with Counselor Mooney and see how he's doing and see if he'll be back.
Don't make him feel guilty. He needs time to recuperate.
He sure does. But I'll check.
Okay, I believe it's 5:30. Anything else we should?
No, that's good.
Okay, good. Good review. Motion to adjourn?
Make a motion, we adjourn.
I'll support that.
Moved by Councilor Hansard, supported by Councilor McCloskey. Same discussion. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? All right. Now, did Lindsay leave to get something or what?
I don't think so.
And now the packet officially includes those revised February meeting, right? So we have done that. Okay.
Yep.
Okay, I'll go ahead. It's now 5:31 on April 8th. We're at the City Town Government Center, and like some meetings in the past, everybody's personally present. We welcome Councilor McCloskey back to God's country here. So I call the meeting to order, and let's see, could we have a roll call, please?
McClosich? Here. Hanson? Here. Hess?
Here.
Gregor?
Yes. All right, so 4 out of 5 councilors are able to be present. Can we stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, moving to agenda item 4, it's the consent agenda. For those in the public who might be watching, this is the includes the portions of the prepared agenda which are oftentimes not controversial and therefore are adopted in one motion, one consideration, but to accommodate any special situations, we always offer the councilors a chance to have anything removed from the consent agenda for separate discussion that they like. Does anyone have any item? But
Not a removal, but I would like to add my similar thoughts to the item 12, but on the letter that the city received complimenting the public works crew on the job they do with the streets, and I totally agree. The streets and the downtown they do a wonderful job.
Yeah.
In a timely manner too.
It's great to see the work they do, and it's also great to have a citizen appreciate it.
Yes.
And express some appreciation.
Having plowed snow, that is, you don't hear that part very often.
And for any citizens that saw the previous thing, the minutes on agenda 5.1, there's a replacement sheet on part of the minutes from that meeting that will be part of our consent agenda. So with that in mind, is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I'll make the motion.
Moved by Councilor Hess. Supported by Councilor Hanson. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? All right, we have a consent agenda. Moving on then to appearances. Anybody, no one's online, is that correct? Correct. All right, then no one's otherwise notified themselves. And reports from staff members. During our preceding agenda discussion meeting, we had a report on the library, all the good work they're doing. Community comments, we commented on that. So I believe we're down to agenda item 14, which is reports from counselors. And might as well break Councilor McCloskey in by giving any reports that he has to offer. You can go into vacation if you want, vacation comments if you want.
Well, they had to change the HRA meeting on me last time, so I was unable to attend.
Oh.
I don't have HRA updates.
Oh.
However, I do want to remind the citizens that there's an April 24th volunteer dinner at 5 o'clock at the community center. All volunteers and all citizens are welcome. There will be a porchetta sandwich served with that, along with a light meal there. I also want to take a minute to thank Kim Norman for volunteering his time and equipment to make sure that the cross-country ski trails were open while we had snow. He did that again this year and did a fine job from what I was told. So Thank you, Kim. And, I think that's all I've got.
Well, appreciate getting the in-person report. Counselor Hanson?
Just, the Downtown Beautification Committee met again today, was their third meeting. Things are we're starting to get some visual ideas. I encourage residents that are interested in what could happen downtown, in the downtown area, to attend those meetings. They're the second Tuesday of the month at 9 a.m. in this room. And other than that, a reminder, the book sale coming up in the library this Friday and Saturday, and also there is a display up right now in the library showing what the community center will look like when the work is done.
Which is very illuminating.
It's gonna look nice.
It's really good to see. That
That's
concludes
it.
the report, thank you. Counselor Hess?
Not too much, only thing I want to remind everybody that Chief Solar's retirement party is on Friday, the 11th, at the Community Center from noon to 2, or at White Lakes from 3 to 5. So,
Yeah, there was a nice article, I think everybody saw that in the Strange Times, right? Appropriately saluting him, right? So, do we need to give notice at all, or how many
Yes.
are?
Yeah.
We're gonna give notice of, quorum, okay. All right, anything further, Counselor Hess? No. Okay, all right, so we've done, information about that, the library book sale. Let's see, I'm just reporting that, and since the last first of the month meeting, I've gone down twice on lobbying, tours or excursions down there to the Capitol, and, Luke was, along on the first one, and, we had a White Lakes counselor, and we, basically, each one of them, the second one was just sponsored yesterday by Rams, to go down there, and in each case, we're getting a chance to, meet with, the core range, legislators. It's a broad definition of core range, but, to emphasize to them the priorities we've got of number one, trying to get $5 million bonding funds that would close the gap on the East Range Water Project sufficiently to make our rates much more affordable. And we have two options there. One is the bond fund appropriation for that, of which there's a lot of competition for it, and maybe a less conspicuous way that Senator Hochschild, or not Senator Hochschild, Senator Farnsworth was seemingly favoring was to get the cap on the water infrastructure grant program increased from 5 million to 10 million, which would similarly provide $5 million when we wouldn't be in competition with so many of the other bonding projects. So that was going on, but there were also a lot of good discussions about EMS, the funding and trying to cover those deficits, childcare, again, trying to find ways to incentivize both the facilities and the personnel. The local government aids, there's a lot of concern about trying to keep those in place because they've not now gotten to a level where we're really depending on them, I believe, everything. And there apparently are attempts on to repeal some legislation on payments in lieu of real property taxes, which the state pays when there are a lot of public lands, and St. Louis County has a lot of them. I don't know if we have a lot of I don't know, funds or eligibility, but it seemed to be a big issue going on there. So, then just wanted to thank Luke and the construction crew at the spec building. I got a tour of the facility there in March, and they just completed some of the roofing elements, and it's just so jaw-dropping to see the scale on there and the work that's gone into it and everything. It seems like a really well-done project. I don't think it will have a ribbon cutting at some point, probably in August. Yeah, so citizens can get a similar view, but the construction crew seemed to favor any of us that wanted to go out there on, what is it, Tuesdays?
Yeah.
I was out there today.
Oh.
It looks wonderful inside. I guess the cement floor is coming in this next week. 8 inches of concrete will be poured, and, yeah, it's a good-looking structure. And I know the IRRB is actively recruiting, to fill it, so hopefully they can fill it soon.
Yeah, so that's very encouraging on both timetable, funding, and particularly trying to get a tenant in there, that's for sure. See, we have a new snapshot edition out that I understand some of you got in the mail today, right? And so it went out, Lindsay? Yeah, good. So citizens that are watching, please look for that. On the water project, kind of discussions and plans are really coalescing to bring Point Lakes into the project. The water board and Point Lakes made the decision to have 2 members of theirs join, actually, not just be there as observers, which we had before, but to actually join in on the board. So we'll be revising things to make that possible. And interestingly, with no commitments, but my lobbyist is at least expressing some interest in getting informed on the project, which was part of the original vision, to be a water project for everybody there. So that's very encouraging. And for the audience, we had an update at a council meeting, our second council meeting last month from Northspan, who are the economic advisors for the East Range Joint Powers Board, that brought us up to date on the strategies and priorities that they're establishing. I thought that was good to know that they have some targeted actions, and they're working toward on that. The community center renovation project, we talked about it in the agenda meeting, but that's going ahead, and as Councilor Hanson noted, there are some drawings of that right in the library there. And another plug for families that might consider joining the Habitat for Humanity program. They're looking actively for families in Aurora that could potentially have one of the next Habitat things. So, yeah, I think that's all that's been going across the mayor's desk in recent times. So moving back then to their agenda item 16, 16.1, it's listed as the implementation of the residential and commercial loan fund program, and as I understand from the agenda setting meeting, the administrator would advise that we table that.
You have to table it just for lack of motion or whatnot, we'll just let
Take it off the
just
old
take it off.
business?
Yeah.
All right. And 16.2 is the update of the cable franchise agreement with MediaCom, of which we've had some drafts, and at the previous council meeting, we had some discussions about some minor tweaks right in the language, but I think we're being asked to today adopt resolution 2025-19 that would update, that's a 10-year franchise, isn't it?
Yeah, you're essentially approving a 10-year cable franchise agreement with MediaCom.
Yeah. So is there a motion to approve that proposed?
Make the motion.
Moved by Councilor Hess,
I'll support it.
supported by Councilor McCloskey. And see, any further discussion on that item? If not, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? So that resolution is adopted, and we have the MediaCom franchise, and that concludes our old business. Moving on to agenda section 17, 17.1 is proposed resolution 2025-24 that has to do with the updated cable franchise agreement or ordinance for what's commonly known as Zito Media, officially known as Pinpoint Media. And the city administrator, that basically is identical to the other one, actually with the change in the identity of the business.
Correct. You'd be approving a 10-year agreement with Zito today. We have received it and looked at it and not provided a response. So.
And in contrast to Media, we have not had an agreement, right? With
Correct. They're currently running off Lake Connections agreement that they purchased. But we do not.
Assessor. Yeah.
Pinpoint/Zito.
Okay. Let's see, so we have a proposed resolution before us. Is there a motion to adopt that?
I move we adopt the resolution.
Moved by Counselor Hanson, support,
I'll support it.
supported by Counselor Hess. Any further discussion on that? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So we have our franchise agreements in place, good. Moving to 17.2, it has to do with the community center parcel split, which again was discussed in our agenda setting meeting. And are we being asked to approve the split?
Approve the split, yep.
Yeah.
Planning and zoning did look at it. We did have surveyor go out, survey had provided language to our attorney reviewed it, and signed off on it. So this is the last step, and once you approve it, you will bring it to Mr. Carney, and he will submit it for us to get it recorded. We need to do that so we can start getting payment from the state.
All right, is there a motion to approve the proposed split?
I'll make the motion to approve the community center parcel split.
All right, moved by Councilor McCloskey, supported by Councilor Hanson. Any further discussion on it? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries, and we'll move that on to our attorney. 17.3 has to do with the award of the Community Drive utility installations, and we did have a discussion on that at the agenda meeting. The city administrator, maybe for this record, for this meeting, just give a little background on it.
So we did bid this out. We did receive a $300,000 grant from CDBG for this project. This takes care of three separate items in one project, one being the sewer line that runs up to the industrial park. We chose to run it through here because it saved us about $750,000 in a lift station and monthly O&M and annual O&M in that lift station. So we're gonna run it south across Highway 100, and we're actually gonna replace the existing infrastructure that's in there for the sewer behind Community Drive and Erie Street. Also, we will not be assessing the residents that are there currently because we did receive the $300,000 CDBG grant, and we are not allowed to do that with that program. So it will take care of new stubs, sewer, and water to those existing houses that are there. They will receive better water. This is a notorious main break area for us, existing 4-inch 50s. So I myself, I think we put 3 or 4 of them on back in my days. So that all goes away. It's going to be 12-inch plastic. And in addition, to the south, we're putting in 11 stubs for water and sewer for new lots that will be back there for it is around the engineer's estimate. We do have funding for the project, and then we have an award letter here to formerly Joel and Saab, which is now Zig's Mainline Excavating, for $1,235,848. The other thing I'll say with this is this does come with funding for half of this, or over half will be funded through the actual Larby's Industrial Park, because that is required for that area. So this is all at the city. There's a lot of IRRB funding, there's CDBG funding in there, there's some reserve funds.
Yeah, it's a great pairing of project and activities, and potentially increasing the housing stock right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds good. All right, is there a motion to accept the bid from Zig's Mainline Excavating, formerly known as Joel and Saab?
I'll make a motion to award the bid to Too Easy Zig's Mainline Excavating for Community Drive project.
All right, moved by Councilor Hess. Supported by Councilor Hanson. Any further discussion or questions? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That awarded. 17.4 is a action, masterfully crafted, by the way. I assume Lindsay did that, or what?
Proclamation.
Proclamation.
I did, yeah.
Yes, it was
Thank you.
very well put together, and it certainly expresses the extreme gratitude and recognition of
It's
all
like
the.
pulling teeth from him to get any of those, so a lot of those accomplishments are certainly not from his mouth, from his files, so.
All right, well, at any rate, I'm sure we all regret the fact that we're issuing the proclamation, but, it's leaving essentially, but the proclamation and the event on, what is it, Friday at
Friday at noon.
Friday at noon, again, at Community Center was mentioned.
there'd be a event to say farewell to him. So is there a motion to approve or authorize me to execute, I guess, the prepared proclamation?
I'll make that motion.
Moved by Councilor Hess,
I'll support it.
supported by Councilor McClassich. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And no one's opposing it, so we can go ahead with that. 17.5 on the agenda is the citywide spring cleanup for 2020-25. And let's see, we had a discussion on that. It's targeted for what days?
June 2nd through the 6th, first full week of June.
And do we need to make any budget appropriations, or is that part of the budget?
It's part of the budget.
Part of the budget, okay. So, is there a motion then to set the spring cleanup for June 2nd through June 6th?
I move we set those dates for the cleanup.
All right, motion by Councilor Hanson, support? Supported. Supported by Councilor Hess. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. 17.6 is another proclamation. That's one in relation to what was alluded to there. In addition to this being a month in which we will have our community volunteer recognition event on the 24th. It's a volunteer appreciation month. And let's see, I'm declaring the day of April 24th as Volunteer Day in the city of Aurora. But it's, just for the record, it's part of a national month of recognition for volunteers. And is there a motion to authorize me to execute and issue that proclamation?
I'll make that motion to execute the proclamation for volunteers.
Okay, moved by Councilor McClassich, support? I'll support. Support from Councilor Hanson. Any further discussion or comments? All right, if not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, so we're good. It's always such a joyous event as far as I'm concerned to recognize. When I go to other meetings with other city officials, they're not all blessed with as many vibrant volunteer communities we have, and it's a really strong element, thing to take pride in our community there. 17.7 is the resignation from HRA, and which individual is that from the HRA?
I was hoping you know.
Oh,
Mr. Salo, I believe.
I
Yeah.
thought that's what it was.
Tim Salo?
Sure.
Does that sound?
Yep.
All right, so Tim Salo accepting his resignations with regret. We'll certainly send a little card to him in appreciation. Is there a motion to accept that resignation?
I'll make that motion to accept the resignation.
Moved by Councilor McClassich, supported by, I'll support Councilor Hanson. Seeing no further discussion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, and we'll send him some kind of a recognition or appreciation. 17.8, there's a new member for the HRA,
Amy Keene.
Amy Keene, and I actually had lunch with her the other day, and after our Brownfield, I didn't mention Brownfield event in my report, but it seems like she's associated with Essentia and just an amazingly qualified by background woman, so it's good to list her talents. Who's her? Amy Keene, Keene.
I believe she's communications for Essentia Health here.
Yeah.
So she's very active in the chamber now as well.
I guess, knowing her, I'll make a motion to approve her as a new member of the HRA.
Support her as a new member.
Moved by Mayor and supported by Councilor McClassich. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So we have a new member there. 17.9, accept Planning and Zoning Commission membership. I believe Councilor Hess is proposing to join the Planning and Zoning Commission, and they seem willing to take you on. Okay, we don't want to force something on them. Okay. All right, is there a motion to appoint Councilor
Counselor Hess to the Planning and Zoning Commission.
I'll make that motion.
Moved by Counselor Hanson.
I'll support it.
Supported by Counselor McClassage. Seeing no further discussion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain, okay. One abstention noted from the record by Counselor.
Got out for myself.
Yeah. Well, you could, but it's not exactly like a monetary position, so. 1710, update the seasonal maintenance worker job description, and, our deputy clerk, do you want to just explain for the record, they were pretty modest changes, right?
Yeah, just, again, the Public Works Director is no longer an existing position here at the city. It's the Public Works Working Supervisor that was replaced with, as well as there was a direction to have the seasonal maintenance lead worker as their direct supervisor. With us not hiring that this year, that seems to be removed. So just those few changes.
All right, and we'll be presented, I assume, with worthy candidates at the next meeting or something who have applied for it? Don't we approve?
Yes, it was already authorized, it closes on the 10th, and we're taking applications currently, and then we'll go through those, and we'll have some recommendations for you.
There is a temporary hiring committee consisting of,
Oh,
it would have been Tim Suler, but at that time it'll be Jordan,
Okay.
taking his place, Russell Siltman, the Public Works Working Supervisor, and myself.
okay. Good, all right, so there's an updated job description to approve, motion to approve.
I move we approve the updated job description.
Moved by Counselor Hanson, supported by Counselor Hess. Seeing no further discussion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, that business matter taken care of. 17.11, the city administrator has suggested that we're being asked to approve soliciting proposals from local realtors to handle upcoming city real estate transactions. Feeling that it'd be nice to have a go-to realty firm, and as Councilor McClassage pointed out, maybe some kind of a base fee in the event that we choose for public purposes to transfer a property at less than market price. So with that explanation from the city administrator, is there a motion to authorize soliciting proposals?
I'll make that motion to solicit the proposal for city realtor, because also it was stated that it would reduce our costs and the fact that we won't use our lawyer for some of these activities.
Yeah. Okay. Moved by Councilor McClassage, supported by Councilor Hanson. Any further discussion or questions?
Yeah, the other thing I would say is you're just taking proposals, right? If they come back and they're high, then we'll just reject them all and just keep using our term. But that's the idea.
Yeah. Or we can solicit a realtor for a particular parcel.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yep.
All right, so we have a motion on the table, and no further discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, moving on to agenda, that motion's adopted. Moving on to agenda item 17.12, a request for proposals for city rental building inspector. City administrator, where do we leave that? Is this breaking it up as a topic, or should we take action?
Again, this is something where, for your consideration, is rather than having every one of the individual short-term and long-term rentals try and go out and find their own and try and hire them and possibly pay them or not pay them, we would take that on. We would ask all of them to compete against each other, what's the best deal, and then we would incur that expense as part of the short-term and long-term rental application fee.
So the fees would cover the cost.
The fees would cover the cost, yep, and then in that RFP, we would also put in re-inspections, because there's some places where you need to go back multiple times. There's just things that are falling, but, landlords are calling, or landlords or tenants are calling. So we could have those fees incurred in there. I don't have to go back and judge it. This person's fees are, so we'd be looking for a 2 or 3 year window on there, just keep cycling that back.
And so is there a motion to authorize with soliciting proposals?
I'll make the motion.
Moved by Councilor Hess, supported Councilor Hanson.
Could I ask a question? Do the city rental building inspectors need a license of some sort?
Yes.
Okay.
Would this proposals could also include, like, checking with the other joint powers communities to see if we could establish, one position that would, if other communities that have rental licenses as well, maybe to make that a more attractive job for some individual.
That's the case, then you would have to run that through the East Range Joint Powers Board and see if they wanted to do that.
Yeah, we have a meeting later this month, I could certainly bring it up, sit on the board there, so. But, in the meantime, it couldn't hurt, could it, to begin soliciting
We could
proposals?
look at,
Yeah, we could look into it ourselves, and then we could also bring it up, and as part of our solicitation, if there's others that wanna come on, we could throw in the numbers. Only two towns.
So there's actually, our difference with our rental license is kind of distinctive with the concept that we require them to be a member of the American Standards of Home Inspectors. There's an acronym for it. Whereas I do know that Biwabic and White Lakes do not have that. So we can certainly bring that up, but just remember that when we do solicit for these actual requests, we do need them to comply with those.
So we'd actually be setting a new higher standard, presumably.
We actually, we did go above and beyond.
We set the bar here, Doug.
Yes, we
Well-
did. We did set the bar here.
I think we
Absolutely.
can appropriately shame our neighbors.
Yes, yes. That was really, so everyone's following the same playing field, so that's kind of why we were asking to solicit this as well, is to hopefully get those costs down for, the actual public.
If prior to the East Range Joint Powers meeting, could someone put that in a memo so I understand it?
Oh, I can, yes,
That
yeah.
would be very helpful.
Give you a direct link to their website, very, very explicit, so.
All right, so, let's see, so, again, I think the issue before us is to authorize soliciting proposals for building inspector. Is there a motion to that effect?
We had a
We
motion.
had-
We had one,
We did.
second. Okay, so we were just in the discussion phase. Okay, very good. Make records. It's good to know where I had. Any further questions or discussions? If not, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. 17.13 is Community Center Change Order Authority. City Administrator, I think you're looking for two things. One, to inform us that there will be some significant change orders.
There will be, yep, there will be some significant change orders, but they're not unexpected. So we knew that we had water intrusion, we knew we had rock damage. We didn't know how much we would find, but we did put the pricing in there. But there's some other things that are gonna be added, such as removal of doors, removal of windows, interior drywall work, there'll be a lot more interior drywall. So what we'd be looking for is to authorize myself and one of you to become the signer. We do a co-sign, it's a docu-sign process where essentially the project manager on site submits it to the architect. Matt Smith is our architect at TSGW. He will sign off saying, I concur with these costs and these measurements, and this is good. It would come to me, I would sign off on it, say, yep, this is good, and then it would go to one of you finally saying that you're good with it, and then after the fact, we would come up and ratify it.
Councilor Hess, do you want to be the appointed representative from the council? Yeah, I think your knowledge of those things is probably greater than mine, and I think Councilor Klaus is going to be gone at sometimes, and Councilor Hanson, you've got the other matters that you're trying to address too, so.
All right, so I'd make a motion to appoint Councilor Hess to be the council's representative on the committee that the city administrator just described to approve change orders on the community center building. Right?
I'll support that.
All right, so moved and supported. Let's see, any further questions or discussions? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Whoops.
Abstain.
Abstain again, yes. Councilor, yes, please note for the record as abstain for.
So I will interject, I met with Mike Carney today, and he was unable to be here because we rescheduled, so he's in Buell today. But he did say, to have someone on the council as well as the city administrator, so maybe a separate motion to have the city administrator sign off on those change orders as well as Richard.
Another motion, then.
Yeah, if we didn't do it in that one.
I'll make a motion to have Luke, as city administrator, sign off on change orders for the community center.
All right, support. Supported by Councilor Hess, supported by Councilor Hanson. Seeing no further discussion, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? All right, so we have that taken care of. Hopefully we'll, by Christmas time, have a lovely, much more,
Well, I'm glad you bring that up, because we can talk about the timeline real quick. The exterior work was allowed to start April 1st. There are still graduation parties and a few things that are going on internally, like our volunteer dinner and Officer Sewell's deal. So the interior is open through the 4th of July. And then on July 7th, the interior will start. And then the substantial completion, the building should be done by October 10th. So that would be
in time for pumpkin fest.
Yep.
Yeah.
Now, I will add, with the rock that we found and the work that needs to be done, some of the interior drywall probably is not gonna look very good either now. Still, as they're fixing the exterior, some of the interior is gonna have to come home. But the building should still function. It's still working. It will not be working physically inside the building.
Good, so, let's see, 17.14, the council meeting date, change, that's just for public, information there that will be, the proposed, I guess we have to formally, reschedule our normal first of the month in May meeting to Thursday, May 1st at 5, right?
So there's a couple things here in play. One is closing City Hall from the 5th through the 9th, because we will not be here. And the reason we need to close City Hall is because all of our staff is at clerk training for the week. So because we are not here, we need to move it to the 1st. And I would also, and you can do this in separate motions, but I would also ask that we schedule a meeting on the 2nd, Friday the 2nd at 1 o'clock, just in case we need to do disbursements and pay the bills. We think we can get them done on the 1st, but we don't want to not get it done unless it's not a meeting schedule. So I'd ask for one on the 1st, one on the 2nd. Most likely we will be able to cancel that, but maybe 1 o'clock on Friday.
1 o'clock, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so two motions, it seems like a very good idea. First of all, to authorize the closing of City Hall due to lack of staffing
Yeah.
in the period of 5th through the 9th of May. Is there a motion to that effect?
Yeah.
Moved by
Authorize
Councilor
closing.
Hanson,
I'll support that.
supported by Councilor Maflahe. Seeing no further discussion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So that action's taken. The next one would be to reschedule our regular monthly meeting to Thursday, May 1st at the regular time. I assume 5 for the agenda, 5:30 for the regular meeting, with a standby as needed special meeting adjournment date the next day, Friday at 1 o'clock. So is there a motion to that effect?
Make a motion.
Moved by Councilor Hess, support.
I'll support.
Supported by Councilor Hanson. Any further questions, or did we leave anything out of that motion? No. All right, so all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Well, we'll look forward to exceptionally informed staff at the May trainings there, yes, for the public, and that's part of an ongoing training program that you're all participating in. Any other business that we have attended to?
We do have the LB8E meeting on Thursday at 1,
All right.
and I've not talked to Richard yet. I want to make sure, can you make that at 1 o'clock? Thursday at 1. John can, you can.
Okay, and we've all completed the training?
You've had the training? Have you had the training?
No, I don't.
Okay,
Yeah.
but you have, and Doug has, and I think
Yeah.
50% of you have to have that.
Yes.
So, 2 of you, 3 of you do. One.
And that, again, is at 1 o'clock,
It's at
right?
1 o'clock.
And we have to be in session for an hour, right?
Yes.
If I recall correctly, and for the benefit of the public that might be wanting to go to that, the purpose of that meeting is not to discuss taxes or levies. The purpose of that is to talk about property valuations, and there are representatives from the county assessor's office, right, that are here, who are willing to explain the rationale for their property valuations, but also to entertain opportunities for individuals that want to have their homes re-inspected for possible changes in valuation, which the property owners would hope would go down, and but still have the equal possibility of going up.
I've seen it go up to.
Yeah, right. So, okay, any other matters?
Nope.
Seeing none, is there a motion to adjourn? Nobody wants to leave, huh?
That's
Moved by Counselor Hess.
It's Cody's job, but
Yeah.
Supported by Counselor Hanson, I believe. All right, seeing no further discussion, all those in favor of the motion say aye. Aye. Opposed. We stand adjourned then until April 15th. Well, with the exception